Madam Deputy Speaker, can the Prime Minister confirm that since he became Prime Minister, he has doubled the national debt?
I can also confirm to the right honourable gentleman, that there is not a single economy in Europe that can match our performance, and that if the right honourable gentleman wished to see debt rise further, if he wished to see the British economy fail rather than succeed, then he should follow the policies of the social model to which he is committed in Europe, with the results that we have seen in Europe.
Speaker, I think perhaps just for once we could get a straight answer to a straight question. Yeah. I mean, we now pay out on interest payments every year on debt more than we spend on law and order and transport put together. Now, can he just answer that simple question? Can he confirm that since he became Prime Minister, and he's the only Prime Minister since the war of which this can be said, since he became Prime Minister, he has doubled the national debt, yes or no?
Right honourable gentleman spent the whole of the period during the recession encouraging us to spend money to assist people in need. He invites us to do one thing one day and then something quite different the other. He says different things abroad from a home. At least on this occasion, he seems to be seeking to quote me rather than President Clinton.
Madam Speaker, perhaps I can quote him again. Does he not recall saying that he would be the Prime Minister that would balance the budget? Is that... And does he not reckon... Well, they complain about us. We've been trying to save this government money over the past few weeks. Whilst he and his rag bag of outgoing ministers have been spraying around the post-dated cheques like there was no tomorrow. Well, is that not true? Yeah? Is that not true? Record borrowing, record tax increases, and still they can't run decent public services. Is that not typical of the Tories? Unfair and incompetent in equal measure.
I suppose there was never a chance he was really going to debate the real issues of today upon which the Shadow Chancellor has landed him in such trouble. I will tell him about the international...
Order! Really am getting very weary of barracking from the sedentary position, particularly from front bench people. Prime Minister.
Madam Speaker, I can for once agree with the honourable gentleman for Bolsover. He's not barracking from the front bench, and I doubt he ever will be.
Another quip from Dennis Skinner.
The comparisons I can safely offer, the honourable gentleman, is a comparison between this country's performance on unemployment and every other country in Europe. This country's performance on the recovery in every other in Europe. This country's performance on exports in other countries. This country's performance on manufacturing exports in other countries. The right honourable gentleman should acknowledge just for once the success of British industry, British economy and the British nation, instead of forever trying to do it damage.
Marion Rowe.
My right honourable friend joined me in welcoming the fact that Britain is attracting more investment from around the world than any other European country. Is it not the case, however, that the social chapter would destroy jobs and drive out investment? What advice would he give to business leaders who have been invited to shell out £7,500 to attend a fundraising banquet hosted by the Leader of the Opposition?
£7,500 for a meal with the Leader of the Opposition. The Leader of the Opposition seems deeply engaged in conversation. He's perhaps persuading his honourable friend to cough up and come to the luncheon.
Mr. Blair was talking to Gavin Strang.
Speaker, I was interested to hear the Prime Minister admit in his previous answer that the ethnic minorities in Hong Kong were going to be left potentially stateless, since he specifically denied that in a question that I put to him along those lines 3 months ago. Oh, yes, you did. On the issue, however, of public service pay, is it not now perfectly clear that what the government is trying to do is to take fair pay for our nurses and teachers and turn it into yet another exercise in political point scoring for the general election? Are we, Madam Speaker, expected seriously to believe that a government that can find £1 billion to pay its own private consultants and advertisers cannot fund a modest pay rise for teachers that is perfectly affordable and a pay rise for nurses that's already been budgeted for?
If the honourable gentleman will have to wait for a few minutes for the decisions on public sector pay. They will be fair to the public sector and fair to the taxpayer. But if the honourable gentleman says it's all entirely affordable, why is he promising to put up tax by a penny in the pound to pay for the teachers? Why is he planning to do that? The reality is the right honourable gentleman does not know what the decisions is, does not understand the issues, and yet again asks questions based on complete and utter nonsense.
Sir Mark Lennox-Boyd.
Would my right honourable friend spare a moment to compare the position of a manufacturer in my constituency with his German competitor, who happens to be a friend? For the German in Bavaria is required to pay 29 days holiday to each employee every year, and in addition 13 days holiday for the religious holidays. That's more than 8 weeks holiday in the year, and in addition it's the habit on occasion for people to arm themselves with a medical certificate and spend 3 weeks at Baden-Baden.
Well, I think my honourable friend points to the different costs of the social model in Europe and the impact that that's had on unemployment. Well, the honourable gentleman says the German's very successful. There's 500,000 increase in German unemployment today. I doubt there are 500,000 Germans that think it is very successful today. The reality is that the business costs across Europe are costing jobs. For every £100 spent on wages in Britain, there's an extra £15 for non-wage costs. In Germany, £31, in France, £41, and in Italy, £44. Honourable gentleman may shake his head, but that happens to be the fact of the matter, and that is why businessmen across Europe, including, for example, the head of the German firm BASF, have said in the last few days, Britain is the best place in Europe to invest.
John Cummings.
Number 2, Madam Speaker.
I refer the honourable gentleman to the reply I gave some moments ago.
Cummings.
Will the Prime Minister